Good early afternoon, everyone. Before we get into this early afternoon update, I first want to go over why I'm doing another update this morning, this early afternoon. My son is at his speech therapy, or his food therapy right now, which he's at every Tuesday in between 12 and 12:15, depending on what time they come out. His actual appointment's at 12:15, but we get here a little early from school, so we usually sit for about a half hour because he gets out of school, and then that's the time gap in between. But they took him back here just now, so I want to do a good 10 to 12 minutes here on what I see building within XRP, and not just that, within the crypto market. And it's something that ties into what we've talked about when XRP was down at the $1.98 level, when we were having the discussion about how if Bitcoin breaks out of the rising broadening wedge, or if XRP breaks out of the pennant flag, we had those lower targets. Well, right now it's not quite that urgent, but with how XRP's broken and reversed back down, we had the rejection at $2.45, three separate, well, at least two solid times, but a third time, I suppose you could say, after I finished my update earlier. And we knew even when it came up that could be a bearish push up, and then we start an ABC correction to fill the fair value gap that was started at 205. And that's something that I'm still watching very closely to see if that in fact plays out. I'm watching very closely to see if in fact the pennant flag holds like it should, or if that breaks down. And then if it does, we have a fair value gap on the monthly time frame at $1.82. Then we have one below it at $1.52. But I'm just here to say, if we were to fall down that far, I don't see any reason why it would just sit there at $1.52. I think we would have an implosion, and we'd probably come back down. There's gaps at 92 cents. There's a gap at 44. Hell, there's a gap all the way down at 4 cents. And then there's one as high as around the 348 level. So these gaps fill about 97% of the time. So whether it takes years, decades, it typically will come and fill it in some form or fashion. But as you've seen, we haven't filled that gap since 2018 over the top. So, and that one at 4 cents has been around for a very long time as well. So with that being said, we'll get into the technicals. We'll take a look at how far we will probably go, and will we hold the 222, the 218, or do we come down to the 205 area? And that's what we're going to discuss in a very timely fashion. I'll focus in here on just XRP. We'll look at Bitcoin as well, as it's down 4.71%, or $4,822 on the day. We'll take a very close look, and we'll discuss here as well, is there a time when you should take further profits? As I discussed, outside of XRP and my ISO holdings and IoT, I took 75% profits. And what that means is I trim the fat off. And then on certain sectors, I trim down. Even on ISO and IoT tokens, I always find the opportunity where I'm over the top on my holdings if there's a chance to take profit, because you'll find out in this game of crypto and being a trader and investor, if you don't take profits when you're 2, 3, 4, 500%, that doesn't mean you have to sell out even 50% or 100% of your portfolio. It means if you're up 4 or 500%, you only need to sell out 20% to get your investment back. And once you're on the house's money, nobody should be able to tell you anything, but you're looking to get back your initial investment at the appropriate time, so then you can take, let's say you spent $3,500 with me on XRP. If you had that same $3,500 back in your pocket, but yet it's still worth $23,000 because you bought over the top, or maybe you had $10,000 and you sold down to $7,000, and now it's worth like $15,000, $16,000. That's fine. You took your initial investment out, and now you've got a substantial amount of holdings left, but now you can onward and upward, as far as the old saying goes, because then you've got your initial investment back. I never like to be riding on my own dime when I don't have to be. So I use strategic strategies that I show all of you when I implore it, and then I take advantage of it. But I also know what my minimum threshold is of what I need to hold for myself to be in a good position. So good morning, or good early afternoon. 12:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Tuesday, January 7th, 2025. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. So I do appreciate all 30,500 plus of you that have followed me here through the new year. I just want to thank each and every member of Tom's Army, everybody who's ever sent a monetary donation, and anybody who's ever hit that like button, shared my content, or put positive perspective, reinforce somebody who might not understand, or pick somebody up when they look like they were about to give up. I give you my gratitude, and I show you my humility, and I thank you for that. So where we're at right now with XRP, We're sitting within this pennant flag that is still very, very decisive. Nothing's changed here. In fact, all it's done is made a little bit more noise here. We came back up, and now if we're in an ABC correction, theoretically, I mean, if you're asking me, you should probably, if we're looking at the ABC correction, that is after, and this would initiate the end of wave, because we might not be done with wave 4, as I've been saying. We might need to do this ABC one more time, hit the supply zone one more time, which in this case, if you look at the higher lows that are forming, you could say the supply zone that's set up, how some people say demand, next supply zone should be somewhere there. So lower or higher low 1, 2, 3, 4. Could it be that this comes down and does this? That's a possibility on an ABC correction. That's where it would go, and you'd probably fill that gap at 205 area. Now, the other scenario here is that we're actually playing more like a bull flag. Well, more like a falling, who knows what you want to call it, but then it could bounce out and make a big W, come up here to about that $2.80 mark. It hasn't been invalidated yet, but if we come down any farther, it will be. That $2.80 move would be invalidated. But that's only a breakout. You breach up, and then you would more than likely come back and back test that area anyhow. But that's what I'm looking at. If we come back down, you'd have a fourth hit. It would still be a higher low, still very bullish. So we just have to be aware of that. Still making lower highs, which is still this formation of the pennant flag, which remains very bullish. And in fact, we reinforced it because now if we don't come down to a third low, we've actually validated this pattern under the radar. So what I mean by that is 1, 2, 3. So you had 1 hit, 2 hit, 3 hit for lower highs. So these equal lower highs. These equal higher lows. When you put those together, that's very bullish. So now we're waiting for this pattern to abruptly break out, which is at a 78% clip. But that still means that there's a 22% risk to the downside. So 22 out of 100 times this sets up for XRP in these exact same conditions, it'll break down. 78% of the time, in the conditions they're in right now, they'll break up. So that's what we're looking for. Is this pennant flag going to play out appropriately, which it should? And then if we have this, you've still got this fair value gap that if we pull into focus, that's $1.82, and that's the monthly fair value gap, the FVG. So that's something to remember at $1.82. So yeah, that's just something that I'm looking at. It's starting to look kind of like a math equation here, but that's where we're at right now. So I wanted to make sure that everybody understands what we could be looking at. Even if it comes down for that fourth higher low, still very bullish. And we're still making lower highs, so this pattern continues to consolidate. Remember, the more it winds up, the bigger the catapult or the bigger the drop. So the fact this is winding up to totality, this is telling us that we're going to have a big move either way. It's going to be a pretty big move either way. And let's say it's from here, for example. That's over a 50% move. So if you mark it down to get to here, it's about a 50-50 split. Now we're almost in the apex zone. It's just we could come down a little bit farther. As I said, there's that fair value gap and yada, 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 so on and so forth. But that all-time highs is about 50%. It's about even between all-time highs and that $1.05 right now, which is pretty remarkable. And then the $2.80 from here, if you want to just look at that shorter term play that could be happening, that's about 22.6% from here to the top, 10.2% to there. But it's about an even play from that 280 or the fair value gap at $1.82. But remember, you shouldn't have to worry about that as long as these higher lows stay in effect. And the reason why I don't want to come down to $1.82 is, you guessed it, that higher low formation would be busted and it would invalidate the pennant flag. You start invalidating a pennant flag, you better make damn sure that it didn't fall into just a falling channel, because if not, could be in big trouble. So right now, everything's fine. No reason to worry. We're in better shape than we were when it came down for the third higher low, because we just didn't know. Now at least we created the lower high, and now we formed and confirmed 3 hits on each side, which confirmed the pennant flag. So now we know at a 78% probability we're going to break out to at least $3.45. Well, no, that's not true. That's technically not true, because technically And this is not anything wrong with my analysis. I'm saying it's technically not true, the $3.45, because we would be moving down. So let's say it breaks out here. Then all of a sudden, this could end up being like $3.36. See what happened here? So now you're looking at $3.36. If it breaks out this part of the pennant by January 16th. That's just an example. So we can, when it breaks out, I'll reevaluate it so we can get the exact number. But hopefully that helps. I know it's looking much like some math equation here, but I'm just saying the reason why I stay out ahead, good or bad, so you can make an educated and informed decision. I am not a financial advisor, nor do I play one on my own channel, nor do I want to be one in real life, because if I did, I would be. And that's just not me saying, oh, I'm just that damn good, I'm better than a fan. No, that's not what it is. I have basic understanding. I understand the charts, and I understand why you wouldn't just play the FANG stocks. But anyhow, I'm not going to get back into that. But remember, Bitcoin's in this rising, broadening wedge. The only scenario where this plays out super bullish and then comes down out of the rising, broadening wedge anyhow is if we do come up and create like this head. But this is not guaranteed. The rising, broadening wedge typically breaks down at an alarming rate, a very alarming rate. And that's down at 93,000 right now. So if that ever breaks, you have a technical drop, and it's not off the table. It's 74,981. It's going to hit one way or the other. If this rising, broadening wedge, even if it goes all the way back to the top, this is a stationary, pretty small uptrending support. So maybe it's at 95,000 if it comes all the way over here instead of 93. You see what I'm saying? It's not much difference. So right now, be afraid of this rising, broadening wedge if you're a fan of Bitcoin. But it could very well open the door to a diversion. But I still don't think crypto in a whole has decoupled from Bitcoin. So I think every time Bitcoin goes down, no matter what all everybody wants to say about XRP and all these other ISO and IoT and utility tokens and shit tokens and meme tokens and the ones that'll fly and the ones that'll drop and the ones that'll run and the ones that won't, you know, that's the kind of stuff we're watching for right now. And I think we're still on Bitcoin. I don't think anything's decoupled yet. I think it's all just white noise and bullshit when people say that. There are days when I say XRP's decoupled on the day, but that doesn't mean it's happened overall. I don't think we're there yet. We need to get the dismissal of the rest of this lawsuit because, face it for what it is, with the fine on the table, most people still think that security for XRP is up for debate, which it's not. It's not a security. The only thing is the monetary or the damages that the SEC can collect, but that shouldn't be any hindrance. Now the ETFs are being, in some ways, you can see some money flowing out of Bitcoin ETF, and people are saying that this is bad. That is not bad. We need the money to flow from Bitcoin in all senses, from the ETF to from Bitcoin, from the dominance. But you still don't want to see Bitcoin fall off. That's where everybody gets confused. We don't want to see a 50% drop. We want Bitcoin to still maintain, go up maybe a few hundred points, a 1/4%, 0.5% a day, while the rest of the altcoins are bleeding the money from what Bitcoin was getting in inflows, and they end up outflowing in a sense from Bitcoin and going into the altcoins. That's what we're looking for. We're not looking for a 75% drop in Bitcoin, because if that happens, they're all following. I'm sorry, but we're not off of that routine yet. I'm XRP Future Millionaire. Hopefully you take in what I've said here. Hopefully you appreciate what I do here, and hopefully you'll hit that like button before you leave here. Maybe you'll even hit that subscribe button if you want to see more of my content. Make sure you turn that notification on, the notification bell, if you don't want to miss future content. Even though I understand YouTube does a terrible job, but at least have it in your arsenal. You might as well have it there just in case it works. And then if you want to get ahead of this, even if we drop, if you want to make sure that you have the right tokens, if you want to make sure you have an exit strategy where you could literally send, let's just say you have XRP on Uphold. You could send it to BITUNIX, sell it on BITUNIX for pennies on the dollars. On $20,000, it'll cost you about $40. On Uphold, it's going to cost you about $1,500. I'm just telling you right now. I've been there. Then you put it in whatever you can send back over, whether it's Tether, USD, whatever your exchange is, most of them accept Tether. You can send Tether back over and pay $1. It costs you one Tether to send it from one to the other. You can do it with USD the same way. And then you send it back over. You don't take all of those fees. You keep that $1,000 or $1,500 in your pocket, and then you can withdraw it if you want. But don't give the exchanges your free money. So even if you're just using BITUNIX as a hub like that, that's what I do a lot of times. I do that all the time. And then I send it back in Tether or USD coin. And when I'm using Tether, I use Arbitron because it works the best. And it only takes like a minute or two to get from point A to point B. But that's just a way to go beyond if you're looking, or even it doesn't have to be XRP, anything else you're trying to take profits from. But there's no KYC or VPN, so you trade in privacy. They have the lowest maker-taker fee, whether it's futures or spot, so leverage or spot trading. So even if you want to short to market, there's an opportunity there as well. HOTCOIN, same thing, no VPN or KYC. Not as cheap. A lot more options, but still not as cheap. Crypto.com, I would advise more people to take advantage of this route. If you're looking for DGB and some other things, the crypto Visa debit card, I have it. Literally today, took out $400 because if you, depending on what level you're on. But I love it. And you can put up to $25,000 prepaid. And when you have your money on Crypto.com and USD, outside of crypto, just in your wallet in USD, it's backed up to 250K. And the Ruby level looks like this. So that's what the Crypto.com Visa card looks like. And I assure you that it makes it very easy to go from crypto and to turn it into that. So if you're trying to go from crypto to that, that's how you do it. So, and not saying that you want to have it all the time in cash, but you know, you want to spend money, you want to do things. I like to live off my crypto. So if I can live off my crypto and then I re-put it into my account, because that's just the savings that's there, then I'll send over more when I make profit to refill that gap. And that's how I do it, so on and so forth. Never even have to touch my bank account. And that's $400 a day. Every single day you can take out, depending on what level. There's one where you can take out 1,000, but I'm only at the Ruby level right now. So if you want to have $5,000 in crypto or CRO, then you can get to the next level, and then you get all these different things and reimbursements and free CRO. It's so crazy how much CRO they give you for just trading on crypto.com as long as you have the card. It's really ridiculous. And yeah, besides that, if you don't want to send a donation through YouTube, but you're like, I really want to support his channel because he does it for free, PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, but you don't have to sit here, get the information. Don't send money, just learn. I respect all of you. I really appreciate all of you because without you, I would be nothing. Have a blessed day.